So, welcome to the very first tea cake,
Thank you for having me.
featuring Mistress Iris.
Hello.
And today I have chosen a white tea for us because I'm aware that Mistress Iris has a thing for white tea.
Yes, thank you.
And today's white tea is a 2013 aged white tea from the Fujian province in China. And it's by a Melbourne tea merchant called KUURA. And it's called Honey Jar.
As you can
Yeah.
see in the hue, it looks like a little pot of honey.
Yeah, and so I'm a little bit excited as well as maybe a tiny bit. No, I don't know. I wanted to say nervous, but that's not true. To see what happens because Mistress Iris has a particular way of deconstructing flavor. So
And people.
and people.
Okay.
So maybe we can start with.
You would think it will be very sweet from the name of it.
Yeah. So there is already a little bit of that on the surface.
It's a very mild, kind of rounded
Yeah.
scent.
So I guess how, especially drinking Chinese tea works,
Yeah.
usually the first flush doesn't tell you so much about the
Okay.
taste. It's more about a smell and the viscosity.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Very mild. I like it. It is kind of sweet.
Yeah.
It's like very, very low bitterness.
Yeah. Very. Like. Impressively. Impressively so. Or it does come with it, but it goes very, very quickly. And there's definitely the sweetness that comes very, very quickly from it.
Yeah.
And also it's got that feeling. The viscosity it's very.
It is.
It is very honey.
It is.
Yeah. So. That's a lot
Yeah,
of
I
fun.
would be interested to try the second.
Yeah, I think.
It might have slightly more bitterness to it.
Yeah. Well, it also it's the thing I really like about tea is that it's very subjective and you can move things around as much as you like. So that was a 20-second first steep. And the longer that you do things, the more different things you can pull from things as well.
Yeah.
Which sounds familiar to other scenes that we have in our lives. But so a lot of the idea of tea cake is to be able to indulge my obsession in tea, but it's also something that came to me when I poured for Mr. Evelyn over Christmas, and I guess to see her react to the whole ceremony of it and the intimacy of it was quite sweet, and the conversations that were able to come from that, and I think it's something that would be interesting to share with a wider audience.
And it's a very giving act, I feel like, to go through this process for somebody, and there's something that's very intimate in that, I think. Something we receive all the time. And the interesting thing, I think, is that amongst a lot of our pro-dom friends, like, we love to spoil each other. We love being spoiled by others, but then we spoil each other quite a bit, I feel like. And you especially love spoiling.
And people don't necessarily see that either.
No. And
I guess one of the things that really stands out about you as well as brought you so much to my attention and the attention of the world is the way that you present yourself in a visual medium.
Sure.
Yeah. I know how much you invest in that in your and I guess we haven't necessarily talked about it directly, so it would also be, I guess, new information for me about why that's such a driving why you can invest so much energy into it.
So I started with just taking photos. Once I became professional dom, I started taking photos for promotional purposes. and I quickly became bored with it, just looking pretty for the camera. Okay. So, I started trying to get more conceptually and creative with the photos, and started collaborating with different photographers. And
did you have a background in being able to do that?
Yeah. So I have a background in fine arts.
Okay.
After I graduated and started pro-doming, I kind of stopped making art altogether for a long time.
We make art.
Yeah.
Out of people.
My creative outlet was quite satisfied.
Yeah.
With, creating, my world.
Shifts of emotion and personality and the little things that serve.
Yeah. And so, but when I started taking photos, I wanted to do something more, interesting to me, and started posting more interesting photos. And then I started noticing when I started doing Instagram that a lot of my followers were not, just submissive men, women. It wasn't the typical adult content consumer. And realized kind of that there was a little, gap in like a space in the mainstream kind of more consciousness that something like this like needs to exist. And I think kink and photography, especially in fashion, have been represented for a long time.
Yes.
But
in very shallow ways.
Yeah.
As well as deeper ways, but mostly shallow.
A lot of it's more aesthetic
misrepresentation,
driven. I say aesthetically represented rather than more psychologically or so to be able to represent that and subtleties in it, right? Like I think that when a lot of people who are not part of like the BDSM subculture think of BDSM, it's this, leather chains, like beating somebody to a pulp, pig written across the chest of
only sometimes.
Sometimes. So
sometimes it's also sludge.
Yes. So I think that there's a lot of, and I love that. Like that, there's
space for that.
Yeah, there's space for that. Yeah. But then there's a little more kind of this gradients that is missing, and therefore I think a lot of people don't feel like, oh, I'm not into S&M because that's not something I do or I'm into, right?
Yeah, or that's scary and intimidating.
Yeah. And so I think that like just me photographing, for instance, just like pinning somebody against the wall.
Yeah. Like the lifestyle element in a very beautiful,
but it's power dynamics.
Yes.
It's power dynamics. Yeah. And then it indulges in that.
Yeah.
Without
overt expression.
But I do kind of like the mix of fetish fashion, lifestyle, like in the moment play, and then more conceptual, like BDSM is kind of mix of all of that.
So that brings me to the first time that I approached you.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I had the guts to do it, actually.
What?
Now, I guess I was so taken by everything, and a part of me has a confidence, so I was like, yeah, you want to shoot together? But in a way, I'm so amateur, and I just like let the photographers do whatever, because it's not my area of expertise.
Sure.
So now I'm like, wow, how did I have the guts to do that to like such a pro?
What's interesting, I think, is we all have little online dom crushes.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like, I've had this with a few doms before, you know, over the years, where I like, they catch my eye online. It's like, who is this lady? Who is this lady? And, it's like, they're doing all the things I want to do, or like they're doing all the things that I respect, and then like somehow get in touch with them, you know, and then a lot of times they've also have like you know, noticed me in the webosphere, and then there will be this like funny little dom crushes, you know. It's like, oh, I've been wanting to meet you. I'm like, oh, I've been wanting to meet you. You know. And I think for us there was a lot of that too. It's like I've been a lifestyle dom for 6 years before I started pro doming, so 11 years now. And so, you know, I came from just like dominance being my sexuality, you know. And so when I became a pro dom too, it was very much less about catering to like as a service providing kind of thing. It's more like, okay, you get to buy your way into my little world, you know.
And so it's much healthier way. A long-term strategy.
I think so. I think so.
That's the reason I burnt out after my first 4 years.
And I talk that, like, I get a lot of, especially with my Instagram following, I get a lot of mistresses or a lot of girls who want to start out becoming a pro dom approach me, and sometimes I do lunch with them to just kind of talk about it. And one of the things I talk about is
huge
sustainability. And, you know, if you get to enough point where you can make it financially sustainable, it becomes time to just cut out all the people who suck your energy
The
out.
application form gets longer as the years go by.
Exactly.
And the time taken to review them is also like shorter. It's like unbelievable. I mentioned this already, like there's 8 large spaces on my application form, and it's only going to get longer, but that people can fill it with one word and think that it's going to get anywhere. I don't understand.
No.
Or maybe some people just like filling out a form. I don't know. For each slave task. I'm not sure.
I think it's
hot water. You need to fill it up and then you need to boil it again. Thank you.
I think it's I think it's like people put low effort and hope that it works. You know, or they
low
just
effort, low return.
Or they I don't know. But it doesn't matter is the point.
No.
Because those people just do not have an opportunity.
Don't even make a moment.
So
in our existence. We could collect them all in a room. A room of low effort.
Do what? And do what?
I don't know, just look at them and then forget about them. That was amusing. We all live with each other now. Is that cruel to say? And judgmental? Which brings me to like the play party that we were having. I haven't been that happy. So we were at a play party on Saturday together here in Singapore. And I guess for everybody, there were so many pro-doms there, so maybe that made the difference, that we were the large bulk of the women who were there. And so maybe that added to how it flowed, and also we knew each other.
And it was a small group. Chill people.
Very, very curated. Also.
And I love it when there's like space to just be free, unleash our
it's very
true nature.
Other play parties I've been to, there are strangers in the mix, so maybe that was also a thing for me.
I think it's I think a lot of BDSM is about controlled chaos, right? And the more elements you like, you know, put in place, you can like free yourself to have chaos within that space, and you know, just being selective of the people in the space and knowing kind of what their proclivities are and how they're going to react to things, and that being predetermined, you know, allows us to
freedom.
Like, you know,
and I think I also probably have a heavy Asian bias, and it was a lot of Asians there as well, and in the way that it's very non-confrontational, or or obviously there's a lot of judgment, but in a very quiet way, and I think that kind of works better for me. Whereas the overtness of maybe a lot of Western play parties, and the asking to interact with me can be a little bit too much. Nobody asked actually. Of that of me on Saturday.
I think. I think a few may have
wanted and hoped, and slowly came out and like, how are you, Mr. But I was too distracted by you and Anastasia.
Oh no!
Having a wonderful time with the, I don't know, something with the holes to fill.
something. From the moment they walk in, you're just like in their face.
And they're looking at like beautiful, like serene, like really like intensely captivating Dominatrix Iris sitting, because I've probably gone to get them and scare them already. And I'm like, get on the ground. And they're like down, and they're like looking, and they don't know what to do.
And then your interrogation starts. I know. And I'm just sitting there like all giddy. It's like, oh yes, please.
I don't know where that comes from. It's just automatic. I didn't even realize that there was a word for it until very recently.
Sure.
When like a German sub was writing and he was like, and then the interrogation began. And I'm like, really? That's just how I talk.
No, and you are excel at it, and it's wonderful, and it's a piece of art to watch. And also, I think the beauty of doubles is that you get to like be in that space and share that moment. That when that's happening, and being able to share that experience of somebody who is skilled in what you do in their own way, and to be part of that is like an exhilarating experience. And I think that we talked about how, what is it, like you're the type of dom that the slaves know that you're being mean in the moment. Like in the moment, they feel your meanness. And
it's
then
very direct.
And I'm the one what do you say? This is your saying.
I'm not sure how we came into it. I guess I was being really cruel to somebody at the play party or something. And I'm not sure why I brought you into that, but my cruelty is very apparent from the get-go, and you know what I want, and this is something that's impacting you, and it's in your face, and you have to pay attention. But your cruelty is something that is like, they don't realize until they're out the door for a couple of weeks. And something's changed, but they can't really figure it out. So I imagine when you've experienced us together, it's like your life has changed in very direct and indirect ways.
Sure. And I, like I said, I adore those differences, too, because it makes something to admire and respect, rather than being just the two copy of each other, right? I adore and admire you as a dominant woman, and
there are things that I could never be able to navigate that you are so effortless with. And then me and my horrendous, terrible, cruel mouth. I couldn't see you saying that out of your really delicate, loving, like, I'm going to be cruel to you mouth. I'm just like,
But
And when it comes to the way that we dom, there's differences, but there's also a very intimate exchange between us on a personality level, and we don't necessarily use tools all the time. There's a lot of talking for the both of us, right? And it's very much about drawing them into my psychological world and yours. And I feel like that is maybe also a differentiating factor that a lot of people don't experience or have a perception of our world as well.
I've told people that, like, I've done sessions where I have somebody just sit in front of me for 2-3 hours and I just talk, right?
To their mind.
Until they've broken down and on the floor in a pile. But that's that kind of
approach,
getting into not being afraid to get into their
psyche,
personal like, you know, personal world.
Yeah. The things that have built them.
Yeah.
And like you said, destroying it and building something new out of it.
Yeah. And I mean, we have our differences in our destruction method.
Yeah.
Like,
but we're doing a similar thing.
Yeah, like I don't want them to know that they're being destroyed. I want it to be a sweet, sweet death.
To me, that sounds so cruel.
But they're in bliss, and then when they have broken down into pieces, they didn't realize. The frog that's being boiled.
Oh, poor things. I'm just frying mine.
Pan fry, saute.
Sometimes deep fried. So it's like I very much advertise that we're not going to do what you want on the first time we meet. We're gonna get to know each other. And I might push in those directions, but it's because I want to know you. It's not because we're doing a kink because you want to do it.
I'm very similar.
Similar?
I think in my phone interview, for the first phone interview when they, contact me, I'm very much like, I just want you to know I am a sexually dominant woman with my own kinks and needs and what turns me on. And I like to know your kinks and fetishes, but just so I have that as a tool, like I know your buttons to use against you.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said. I will be using them to use you. That's my sentence.
I say so to use against you.
That's why we get along.
I love you. And then I pose it in a way that so that might not, it's not for everyone. The pro is that if you have kinks that are aligned to mine, you're probably going to have a more genuine experience. But if you have particular kinks you want to be satisfied, I'm not going to go down a checklist of so there's plenty of other doms who will be perfect for that. And that's valid too. Not everybody wants to
have that relationship.
And to like, I want people to come see Mistress Iris, right?
And it's a huge investment.
Right.
Like, they really have to bring themselves.
But I think like RuPaul did that for drag, right?
Okay.
Put a face, a person behind the word drag queen, and I think it's time for there to be a face behind a dominatrix.
And the media is a good way to do that. Maybe we can talk about a RuPaul type show. I wonder what that would look like.
Yeah, the competitions.
I loved going to DragCon with you. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, yes.
And hilariously, it was on at the same time as DomCon.
I know. We skipped DomCon.
You skipped, I did. It was my first, so I went to go and have a look at certain things. Do you have any favorite BDSM or kink or DS events out there?
I think my favorites were always private parties. Okay. Yeah, the more smaller curated, it's, a selection of people with good vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can invite me to some in America.
Yes. Well, just throw one. We'll throw one ourselves.
Or we just do it ourselves. do the DomCon show and do do it all ourselves. Yeah. I mean, what could that look like if we were going to? I mean, obviously you are doing that through your social media profiles, and I try to do that in all my interviews as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, for example, in Singapore, a very mainstream magazine, I won't mention it, did very extensive interview with me.
Yeah.
Very extensive, and asked for the rights to my photos, certain ones, and all sorts of things.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Like, it was wonderful, but the editors came back and they said that it was promoting BDSM as a positive lifestyle. And I'm like, so what exactly did you think was going to happen when you spoke to a professional and lifestyle dominatrix?
Yeah.
But it's just like, even when you have something positive to say, they don't want to run it. Yeah. And it was so puzzling to me. Yeah. But it's also the state of Singapore. And then the next day, I got an interview request from a teen magazine.
What?
In America. And they were super pro, and they're doing a whole issue on sex. And
amazing.
And what it said, the thing that stayed with me, Lithium magazine, everybody look for it. It was, she said, we're doing a whole issue on sex, and sex workers are an integral part of that story. I was like crying.
Oh my God.
Like, a teenager can tell me this, and
completely.
And like 30, 40-year-old women in Singapore are just like, oh no, the public or whoever might not like that. It's just like heartbreaking on one side and like amazing on another.
I mean, it's what I found is that younger people nowadays, like. I have my little tender little
boys.
Tender little thing.
What do you even call them? You don't want to call them a harem. It seems too advanced.
I call them my little stray kittens.
A gaggle of kittens.
Little kittens. But since I've been playing lifestyle for 11 years, and compared to when I first started playing, and how much of like, even within play, like, oh, this is hard limit, this is whatever, I don't want to do this because of, not because of, because I might not enjoy it, but because of, I don't know how to look at myself if I did that, right? It's like, as a man, as a whatever. And younger boys nowadays is like bisexual or like fluid, switchy, like, it's like, yes, like very happy mommy.
But you also have a particular aesthetic that maybe that mindset can move towards or can come from. I think also. But no, I know what you mean.
So younger people nowadays are very fluid, which is amazing. But also riddled with anxiety. So that's really sad. From all the social media and FOMO.
So I guess to wrap up, how can people find you, or is there anything that's happening at the moment that you think people should pay attention to?
I think, I have my website, dominatriciris.com. You should subscribe to my newsletter. So any kind of upcoming new announcements you will get. But then, I'm going to be launching a Patreon. So it will I can publish videos a lot more, my kind of more aesthetic, femdom inspired, like conceptual videos. I'm hoping to do a lot more frequently and to be able to spend the time and money making this content. I'm trying to start a Patreon. So hopefully that will be coming out
soon. So your
soon.
side, a newsletter, and your new Patreon, which I'm totally signing up to. Awesome.
I'm signed up to your website.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. All the fangirling.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And attention and sharing the first tea kink with me. It's an honor. Thank you.